You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're going to be talking about always forward. We want to be looking forward, planning our future, thinking about all the great twists and turns that are coming. Now, I know you're saying to me, Nancy, that's great and all, but I'm dealing with the now. I'm still dealing with yesterday. So let's try to clean that today. Let's try to get you to a place where you can let go of that past. Take care of what's in the present so you are able to move forward. In fact, our inspirational guest coming up in our next segment, Ron Holloway, had to do just that himself. He had to channel the superpower human within himself and had a great military career, but had to battle some demons in between there as well. And the thing is, he did. And he's such a hero today. So I can't wait to share his story with you. I also want to make sure that along your path every day that you are motivated. If you're at the gym or you're on a road trip, remember you can always find the Living Full Out Show in the App Store. Just look for the Living Full Out Show app. It's free. And remember that if you're at home like so many of us and you've got Alexa, you can also listen to us through that as well. We just want to make sure that we stand beside you every step of the way, keeping you motivated so you truly can live full out. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a listener on the line. We're going to go check in with them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello, good morning. I do have a question for you.
Yes, how can I help you?
I recently left a high stress executive role to better take care of myself, my family, and my aging mom. I'm currently working part-time as a senior companion, which brings me a lot of great joy and flexibility. It is important for me and for my family that I do find a higher paying position. While I want to maintain my flexibility and continue to prioritize my health, my family, and supporting my mom, along with these changing priorities, I've found a lack of self-confidence and motivation in navigating this career and life change. I would welcome any advice or next steps that you can share that might help guide me through this process.
Well, it's a really good question. And, you know, I give you a lot of credit. That is a huge casserole of busy, right? That is a lot of pressure. So I think the first thing you have to do is just acknowledge that, number one. Because when you try to zip through the day as if there aren't all those responsibilities, it's denial. It's just not acknowledging it and giving it a little bit of, praise for the good work you do. Now, I can understand kind of that balance of trying to have that time for your self-care, time for your family, time to take care of your mom. What is the biggest fear that you have when it comes to all of these balls that you're juggling, and then you consider adding in another paying job on top of it? What is your greatest fear?
That's a great question. I think my greatest fear is not meeting the needs and expectations of my family and of myself.
Now, has your family, have they given you like reports and to-do lists and checklists?
Some have, yes.
Oh, some have. Ooh, that's an honest answer. Okay. Well, I was hoping that was going to be a hard no, but okay. So here's the thing. If they had not, for everybody else listening, if they had not, then some of these expectations, boxes you have to check, might be ones that are grandiose, almost in your head that aren't real. But if they have given you checklists, which sounds like some have, when you look at those expectations, are they reasonable?
Some are and some are not.
Okay.
I apologize for being wishy-washy, but, I think some of them are very much, just more day-to-day to-do list checklists of accomplishing tasks to help move me forward, and others are tasks that I think they think I should be getting done because they see me as working part-time and don't see me as having many plates in the air and juggling all of them at the same time.
So we need you to become a little bit better of a negotiator. Okay.
Sounds like a great idea.
Right. Okay. So you're going to give them your checklist back. These are items I'm doing. So it works both ways, meaning that if somebody gives you that to-do list and you're looking at it, and I'm with you and I haven't even seen the list yet, I can imagine a good half or 1/3 are ones that could probably be outsourced. Maybe the person could do it, maybe not as good as you, but they could do it for themselves. And part of that confidence is finding a way to draw that line in the sand, trying to find the words to push back a little bit. And you have to figure out what is your preferred communication style. Now, that is your preferred style. But then you also have to take into consideration the other person's communication style. So if you were to negotiate back, you have to figure out, is this someone that is going to hear me more if I talk to them in person or by phone? Is this somebody that's going to kind of get what I'm not going to do more if they see it in black and white on paper? If you want to pick the method that's really going to land on them so they're really going to get it. And then you want to treat this like the businesswoman that you are, right? Schedule a meeting. These are things I'm going to do. Be very firm on that. These are things I'm not going to do. So let's figure out who's going to do them. Or let's figure out how you can do them yourself. But see, without drawing the line in the sand, without actually saying the words, I'm not doing these, it's kind of leaving it in the gray zone where they're thinking, well, she hasn't said no. She's doing it. Maybe if I say nothing, she'll keep doing it. Maybe if she says nothing, she'll keep doing it. So that is why you're going in circles.
I really appreciate that advice.
Now, once you start to, and you're going to have to think this through. This is like something that you write down, you figure out what your line in the sand is. You even try to think about those items that you're not going to do and give some remedies for who can do them or how you can train the person to do them. Be thoughtful about it. Write it all down. Walk away from it. Come back to it. This could take you several days to kind of put together. But I would also put a parameter around that, a deadline. Say, I'm going to flush this through within the week. I'm going to put together my email, or I'm going to have a meet with the person a week from now. And because if you don't set those deadlines, then you're going to keep being that person who just does it. Now, simultaneously with all that, I want you to consider all the skills that you have, your hard skills. Maybe that's writing, maybe that's tech, maybe you're resourceful. Your soft skills, being a good communicator, being loving, being accountable. And I want you to start to put together either a resume or a cover letter that really brings that nurturing yet efficient side of you to life. And then I don't want you to wait for job ads to pop out there because you're too good for that. You're too loving for that, and quite frankly, you don't have the time to sit there and go through ads, okay? So there's a tool that I want you to consider using, and it's called Hunter, and it's a tool where you can look up emails, and there's actually many of these email lookup tools online if you were to search them out. This is just one that I've used myself. And it'll allow you to put in the name of a company. It'll allow you to put in a person's name if you have it. And in a perfect world, it has their email, or at least it might find you someone else at that company with a title that is someone you want to reach out to. And then I would believe in yourself more and put that resume, put that cover letter out there. And you know what? I think you're going to get hired and you're going to love it. Can you try all that?
I really like that idea. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Well, I believe in you. You got this. But you got to learn to start saying no to some things and yes to others, mainly yourself. Okay?
That sounds exactly like what I need to hear.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in. And for everybody listening, we're going to be coming right back with Ron Holloway. Again, truly an inspirational story that definitely has highs and lows. He is a great example of what it means to have vigor and zest for life, tenacity. But truly, in the spirit of today's show, he is always looking forward so that he can live full out. We'll be back.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See? That's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about always forward. And sometimes we're stuck in life. We feel like we're going in circles. We're stuck in quicksand. And other times we have such direction and clarity. Well, our inspirational guest today, Ron Holloway, has been through every one of those emotions and more. But yet today, he does stand tall. He does stand proud of himself. It's not a perfect mixture, but he is a great example of how life will always give us wins, but sometimes there's losses, and you have to keep stepping forward. So I'm looking forward to sharing his story with you. I'd like to welcome Ron to the show.
Hi, thank you, Nancy. I'm glad to be here.
So happy to have you, and really there is so much to your story. So I'll just say disclaimer, you might have to Google Ron online to read his whole story. It's really something else. But Ron, I really look at you as someone that I hope that if I'm ever in a sticky situation, you're by my side, because
well, I will be.
Yeah, you will be. And
By
for
phone.
everybody listening, he didn't grow up easy. He had a father that was addicted to alcohol and drugs and was abusive. And in fact, super scary when you were growing up. There was almost a suicide murder situation. He was really at the height of his addiction. And your mom actually had to take you and all the other kids out of the home and kind of run for your safety. But the child psychologist at age 7 drew a picture for you, and that picture has really been something that you've kept in your mind through all these years. What was that?
So I actually drew the picture for the psychologist, and that picture was my family, and it was my mom and 2 sisters on one side of me, and then my dad looking kind of messed up on the other side, and then me big in the middle. And what the psychologist said is that I have a superhero complex, and what that means isn't that I want to wear tights and fly or be famous. It means I'll be protecting people for the rest of my life. And this is actually common for a lot of guys in law enforcement.
And it's interesting because at age 7, you kind of had that James Bond 007 goal for yourself. And part of that was surviving, living with your dad. Another part of that was, just weathering literally the weather of Alaska. You grew up in Alaska and how cold and intense that was. But as your path went along, you actually got introduced to more aspects of knowing that you were heading in the right direction. Your mom had remarried and your stepdad was in the military. You got to live in Iceland, get that international James Bond experience going. You got to learn different languages. You were, even though school was not your favorite, right? All that studying, you were a planner. You were taking improv. You were going to gym. You were working out. You were taking foreign languages. That goal to be a special agent, to be a James Bond, was something that you were going to make come true. So much so that you even joined the Army at age 17, just ready to go when 18 came. And again, I give you a lot of credit for that. I'm a planner at heart as well, so that just shows your commitment. And again, thank you for your service because, again, I appreciate so much that you were all in at such a young age. But when you got to interrogation school, you had kind of a whopper of an experience because here you are, you've planned, you're smart, you're very zen and calm in nature, but they kept recycling you. They almost failed you along the way. That had to have felt discouraging.
Yeah, so put it in context, I'd actually went to language school for Hungarian first. And I was a rock star in language school. They loved me. I got the highest grade for Hungarian in the history. And I was young and hubris set in. And I showed up in Fort Huachuca, Arizona for interrogator school. And I have anxiety as one of my issues, the thing to deal with. And I got anxious in my last interrogation. And part of it was because I didn't study hard enough. I felt I was winging things. And how that's played out in my life is I will not leave any stone unturned when it comes to accomplishing a job. I never want to fail again.
You know, it's a lot of responsibility, your job. You're protecting diplomats, you're protecting Olympic athletes. And when it came down to it in 2011, there you were basically protecting around the World Cup. There was a lot of anxiety from that, but yet your dream offer came to do further protecting at the Olympics in London, but you hit a breaking point. Why, what was that? Was it the physical of you breaking? You were just exhausted, or was that the mental part?
So to add to it, I was a special agent with the State Department, and like you said, protecting everything to do with diplomacy. I'm also a divergent thinker. I'm wired differently. I do not want to fail, and what happened is I became the go-to guy for high-stakes, low room for failure jobs, and being able to lead from anywhere on the team, even at the bottom. So I was sent to South Africa last minute to get the government's operations to protect 10,000 American tourists and the men's soccer team. And what had happened is over time, it's kind of like concrete. Concrete gets cold, and then it gets hot, and then eventually it cracks. So I would be under intense pressure. Then I would accomplish the mission. I'd get ego strokes. I'd feel good. And over time, South Africa was my last one. I finally broke after a combination of things. One was the high stress of the situation, then was the sudden release and high of being chosen to go to London for the 2012 Olympics. And I'm on the bipolar spectrum, and those lows and highs are kind of part of it. And usually that condition manifests from your routine, but in my case, it wasn't until I was 35.
Wow. You know, again, so many of us are lucky that you were there to protect, for the World Cup. But I can imagine that pressure. And for everybody listening, we may not have been at that same point as you, but what I want everyone to listen in as we continue his interview is how he released that pressure, how he found a way to literally look forward, always being forward, looking for those opportunities. And you can too. So Ron, stay with us. We're going to be coming right back after this break. Today it is about living full out and cracking that code. And so we'll be right back with Ron Holloway. Stay with us.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority.
Put your seatbelt on. Not the boss.
They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about always forward in terms of trying to get through the times in our life where we feel like we have no answers. We are at that crossroad and we've got to make a decision. And our inspirational guest today, Ron Holloway, has been at that crossroad many times. And today he does stand tall. He is inspirational. But it took a lot of commitment, a lot of pushing through fear to get there. So I'd like to welcome Ron back to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be on and ready to go.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for your service. I know you were in the military for 5 years and, very intense jobs that you had, and we talked about that. When you eventually got to your breaking point, though, you did have 2 times where you had to be hospitalized. But even your training there from the military allowed you to be, serve up on a silver platter what you felt you needed to be. What did you feel like you had to do in order to play that part?
Yeah, so one thing is I was military 5 years, but State Department 19 years. So a total of 24. But really made a difference is one, my wife told me she'd never drive me back to the hospital after I got out of and I was in the psych ward. And the other thing was I sat down at the table and I said, I will rebuild myself better than I was. And I was cognitively, emotionally, physically impaired. If you could think about someone blowing a gasket, I really blew a gasket when I got sick. And I journaled. And for whatever reason, I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, and it was always about journaling. I'd start journaling and making my plans and just, act like a man with a plan and plan like a man of action. And I trained. I had to get my mind right as far as how I saw the world. So I studied philosophy. I had to get my thoughts right, what my mind was doing. So I studied psychology. I had to deal with the physical aspects of the anxiety on my body. And so I studied physiology, became a long-distance runner. And you can't go through this alone. You have to have some kind of spiritual base. So I did study spirituality.
Mm. And you had a very supportive wife who has, along the way, really been honest with you about her own fears. And again, not wanting to drive you back to that hospital. And fears of what if, you can't support the family. And along the way, there's been pluses, right? You actually were the first social media influencer within the federal government, and you were really wanting to be inspirational, a beacon of hope for so many other agents that may be under the same stress as you, but just not feeling like they have an outlet to say that because you had gone through the work, you had gone through that journaling. You actually went on to become a coach and really serve at again, another higher level, but in terms of educating. And it's kind of like sometimes in life, it's almost like that old game of chutes and ladders, right? You climb the ladder and then you slide down, climb the ladder and slide down. And again, when you're at your peak, you are flying high, my friend. You are just a shiny, shiny diamond in this world. And
thank you.
And then you slide down, and you're still that beautiful diamond, but you have to rebuild. And, you're very honest, which I appreciate. You're even rebuilding today. You found yourself in a patchwork of people that were kind of con arty people. We've all met them. And you're even humble and trying to rebuild financially to support your family. What are you doing to do that right now? Because I think a lot of people are trying to get that side hustle on, trying to get to that next level where they can finally breathe again.
Yeah, so my coaching business, so I spent the first year after I left the government, or my position as senior advisor human capital development was defunded because of COVID budget cuts. And we packed everything up and moved to Texas and started over. And I've been trying to do my own thing. I tried to sell my book for a year. Coaching, I have another business with business services. But what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for a full-time job. Yesterday I applied, or the last 2 days I've applied for 100 jobs through LinkedIn and Monster, all related to human development and HR and coaching and organizational development, because that's what my master's degree is in. And I've already gotten a couple of really good responses, one from the University of Texas and the other from Chevron.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. And well-deserved, really. I mean, they couldn't hire a better person. But, what I appreciate about you is you're always forward looking, right? You're planning ahead, but you're also an in the moment kind of getting the job done now. And you have a really nice car from the days when the money was flowing. And what are you doing with that luxury mobile?
Oh, I am upside down on this car, and if I could sell it, I would. I'm actually looking to do Uber Black on the side to pay some of my debt. And that's the high-end cars. Maybe do it on the weekends or something to pay credit cards.
You know what? But see, I love that. Again, resourceful. And I really want everybody to listen to what Ron just said. He's looking ahead. He's putting out 100 resumes. He's got some potential job offers with really well-known great companies. But yet he's humble. He's going to work when, in the waiting time, this waiting time to get that job, he's going to work for Uber. And I love that. That's a way of utilizing every resource. So, when we talk today about the theme of our show, always forward, what does that mean to you?
Well, one thing, so it's a family motto.
Mm-hmm.
It came from my essentially adopted grandfather. He was a soldier, and that's what he said, is always forward. And luckily, that's what popped into my head when I started my journey, was I got to keep moving forward. The other thing is, I believe pragmatic optimism, and that if I do what I need to do, I will eventually win. And I'm just going to have to endure and keep moving forward. Because if I move backwards, or if I stop moving at all, my family suffers.
Do you have any regrets along the way? I mean, it's tough because I oftentimes think, I wish I had, studied harder for the interrogation exam. I wish I had not, connected with that con artist business partner, whatever that may look like. But do you have regrets, or do you feel like they all have led to this moment?
I think everything leads to the moment, but if I were to do something different since leaving the State Department, I would have started looking for jobs sooner. And an interesting thing is, I had kind of had this vision of a $300 an hour coach, work 10 hours a week, and live off of that. And I did the social media stuff to build a brand and all that. And what I've realized, that didn't have a mission that fulfilled me. And now I'm looking at a job with UT Dallas Medical Center Hospital. It's like, that would give me a mission. I need a mission. And as long as I have that, I'll keep moving forward.
You know what, Ron? When you say those words, it almost brings me to tears, because I speak to a lot of people that are in that same mindset you just talked about, where, again, there's so many side hustles and so many entrepreneurial things that one can do, but it does leave one very vulnerable, not knowing when their next commission's going to come in. And sometimes they win and it works out. And a lot of times the credit card debt is so scary, and just debt in general. And again, you have kind of learned how to come to your wife with almost like a routine, right? Because you know that you've got this anxiety. You know that you've got to switch the energy. Sometimes when you're going to come to her with like a new topic, I'm going to do this. What does switching the energy mean to you? Because I really love how you talk about that.
Switching the energy. One is states and energy, and I don't mean esoteric, they pass along to the people around you. And I have to be centered when I'm around my wife, because she's a bedside nurse. It's a stressful job. She hasn't seen me bring any money in. And the person we're renting the house from said they're selling the house, so we need to get a mortgage somehow. So I always have to be mindful of how I act around her. Not in a bad way. It's just I don't want to cause stress just because of the way I carry myself or talk. I do need to have a plan to get us out of the situation. And my wife loves me and has been patient with me, but she's also Japanese, and that shows up really in being tough on me and no pity parties. And I mean, she always says she trained me well.
It's funny how life happens, right? Out of all the women you could have met, someone who is so hardworking, because, I mean, here she is. English is not her first language. She goes to nursing school. She becomes a full-time nurse. I mean, You have got a really strong lady by your side. But I think
absolutely.
she wants to make you the best man you can be too. Is that right?
I think so. I think so. She's also very pragmatic, and she wants to make the kids the best kids they can be. And, you know, the hard and fast is we need financial stability to do it. And it's funny as I talk about all this, because I realize usually when someone comes on to inspire, there's always they're a millionaire or they accomplished this and that. But I'm a regular dude. I've accomplished things along the way, and maybe we'll be on the show again, and I will be a millionaire. Who knows?
I wouldn't change you, Ron, for the world. But thank you so much for being on today's show. And truly, everybody, look up Ron Holloway. I mean, his stories are really amazing. We couldn't get to all of them today. But I adore you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And everybody listening, we're going to be coming right back after this break. It's all about looking forward, always forward, as you live full out.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this, or this. Make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to always looking forward, you want to have that plan. And I know sometimes a plan feels restricting, but it's not. It actually gives you that map so you can see your dream. It's crystallized, it's in your mind. And then you can decide along the way, what does it look like? What are the deadlines I need in place? What are the resources I need to find or put in place to get to where I want to be? But when you do it, you're able to move along with confidence so you can live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
So glad that you could join us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we've been talking about always forward. And rather than dwelling on the past, wondering the woulda, couldas of the, what could I have done differently, the regrets, I want you to take that luggage, literally, and drop it. And I want you to take a step forward. And then I want you to think about, okay, what are all the current demands and stretching I have to do and commitments and obligations? And oh my gosh, everybody needs everything from me. Swirl, swirl, swirl. Ah, that's so dizzy. I want you to just sit down, just anchor all those thoughts down, drop them, get up, and move forward. Because all of these things from the past, all of these obligations and stresses of the present, they are just pulling you down. They're like weights on your arms, heavy weights on your shoulders, let alone your mind. How can you get juiced up and excited and, really moving towards the future if you have those weights hanging on you? You can't. Now, I'm not saying that you do anything where you jeopardize another person, right? So you have a little bit of grace in the time that you need to maybe let these challenges go. But that is the goal. So when you look forward at what you want in life, you have to sometimes consider, okay, what is the time, the people, the money that it's going to require to get me there? So once you've let all those weights down, and now you're in the mode of rebuilding, and our inspirational guest today just explained a lot about how he rebuilds, we all have to do that. And this is your moment to do that same thing. So I want you to really think about, what are your top 5 goals? If that's too daunting, pick your top 1. Just pick one. And then I want you to think about, okay, when would I like to achieve this goal by? What is my ideal? And be realistic. And then from there, I want you to put deadlines in place. I want you to think about, can I do this alone? Am I going to need a specialty person, an accountant, a banker, an attorney? Am I going to need the support and buy-in from my family, my friends, people that will keep me accountable, people that will give me a little bit of the boundaries or the flexibility that I need to get this done? Because sometimes when you're building a business or you're preparing for a marathon, that takes time. That's training time, that's long hours, and you need people in your life to understand that you got to get a little bit selfish right now for a period of time, not forever, to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. Then you want to think about, realistically, do I have the funds? Do I have the money to achieve what I need to? Do I need to have some side hustle going on, some part-time job, so to be able to fund my dream? So when you consider the time, when you consider the people, when you consider the money, then it all starts to make sense. Then this dream is not whimsical. This vision for your life, it's tangible. It's something that you can actually achieve. And I said those words intentionally. Whimsical, you want nothing to be whimsical. Tangible, things that you can really hold on to, things that you can invest in, believe in. And then achieving. I think sometimes we think, it sounds really good, and I'm going to say I'm going to do it, but I don't know if I can really achieve it. Okay, that mental state, you are the one that's got to have the biggest buy-in. You've got to believe in yourself in order to achieve it. In my life, there are a lot of things that I really have to go through that same process on. Because I'm legally blind, and, I can do a lot of things myself, but there's a lot of things I can't. It's just visual. I can't do everything by myself. I need people that can read things sometimes to me or tell me what something looks like, or maybe sometimes if I'm traveling somewhere unknown, I might travel with somebody and that kind of helps out in the process of achieving that goal, right? And so I've learned over the years to kind of go through that same process I just taught you. And when you do that, it allows you to step forward. It allows you to know that, hey, you know what? I have a plan. I'm going to stick to my plan, but yet give a little bit of wiggle and jiggle for the unknowns, right? And I believe in myself. I know this can work out. Now, the thing is, when we talk today about always forward, I want you to know that is sometimes also scary, right? Because the unknown, we don't know what's coming at us. We didn't know there was going to be COVID. We can't anticipate people leaving our life unexpectedly. But sometimes we just have to remember that we're all doing the best we can. And I don't want you to go out there and think that you have to be Superman or Superwoman, right? I want you to just be you. And sometimes you're humbly going to be able to say, I made a mistake, or I got to make a pivot, or I'm never doing that again. Just say it, get those words out, and then pivot, move on. But you absolutely can achieve everything and anything you want as long as you're always looking forward. I want to thank our entire family today in this community who chimes in and writes us notes about how you're inspired. Keep those emails and direct messages coming. We truly enjoy hearing from you. Again, if you have an inspirational story, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Let us know what you went through, how you got through it, and don't forget to give us your contact information, and we would love to have you on as an inspirational guest. As always, here's to you living full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, living full out.